All right, we are going. We are live. It is F101 Week 12, normal format. This week we're doing the Austria review and the Great Britain preview. We were just briefly talking about the wild, wacky start to the race. But first, the Austria review. Finishing order: Norris, Piastri, Leclerc. That was the podium. Which we'll get to the podium and pick the podium later. But Dave, congratulations, you've gotten your first correct prediction.
Let's go. And I didn't get last. I've been tied for last. And this time I was tied for second, I think.
Very
Well-
loudly, and to the entire club, drunkenly.
What was that?
I have.
Your cheating fiance.
Hello?
What is going on?
I think Nate was watching a video.
Nate's in here jump scaring us with
I don't know.
TikToks.
Yes, you weren't in. You were, so you had 18. Sam had 8. Andrew had 18. I had 16. I had 16, and Nate had 33. So you were second.
Let's go. All you have to do, turns out, is just pick Piastri.
Yeah, pretty
At
much.
all.
Pretty much.
I can't wait till I pick Norris at some point and he just crashes out again. He's not scoring.
Please pick him often if that's the case. So Leclerc rounds to the podium, and then Hamilton, Russell, Lawson, Alonso, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Ocon. That's the points. And then Behrman, Hadjar, Gasly, Stroll, Colapinto, Tsunoda rounded out the rest. DNF signs, although you can argue he didn't even start. Antonelli, Verstappen, Albon. Good day, McLaren and Sauber. Bad day, and truly, bad doesn't even cover it for both of these teams, Red Bull and Williams. But
it's weird that two teams didn't even race, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. We will get into both of those teams eventually. But to just start off, the winner, McLaren, were ridiculously faster than everyone else. Wasn't even close. Piastri in second finished 17 finished over 17 seconds ahead of Leclerc in third. Their car was just dominant. Norris was objectively faster than Piastri this weekend. He got first in every single session. He didn't necessarily have a perfect weekend. He was feeling the pressure from Piastri behind him at times, but he kept it together and delivered for him a needed win in the championship standings. Like I said, he was faster, but Piastri gave us some incredible racing. They were going at it for a bit, and I'm glad that McLaren is letting them fight. But after the pit stops, there was really no chance of Piastri catching back up, especially once back markers got involved. Specifically, Piastri got pushed off into the grass by Colapinto while lapping Colapinto, and Colapinto and Tsunoda at the time were fighting for not last. It was a total disaster. Just like that specific moment shouldn't have happened. Total mess. Piastri got on the radio and said Alpine finds a way to fuck me over even after all these years. And he still maintains his championship lead, although it's only by 15 points. So, but yes, McLaren easily the better car, the best car this weekend. No one was catching that.
Piastri also tried to pull a move on Norris, and it almost looked very close to what Norris tried to pull on Piastri when they crashed, but just barely didn't crash. And after that, he was a little bit less aggressive. And then, of course, those back markers happened. So he didn't really have a chance after that he tried to pull that move. Also in qualifying, Leclerc got second. And in the after qualifying interview, he's like, yeah, I guess I got second. It doesn't feel like it. I'm a half a second behind.
Yeah.
Norris was so much faster that Leclerc was just like, okay, it's not a real second. Like, I'm about to get smoked out there. And he was right.
And hey, he held on to third. Qualifying was kind of Norris just dominated every session, and qualifying specifically went bad for Gasly and Verstappen, but we'll get into that a little later. But yeah, McLaren showed that early season pace, that Miami level of pace where they were 20 seconds ahead of everybody else. So The track suited them, and their car was fast. I know that Norris's car specifically had a suspension upgrade that was tailored to his style of driving. They did not give that suspension upgrade to Piastri. Whether they will give it to him or that is specifically a Norris thing, I don't know. All I know is that it was tailored to Norris. They gave it to Norris. And whether or not Piastri will get a better suspension in Silverstone, I haven't seen anything. I'm not necessarily looking too hard for McLaren upgrade news. I'm more at this point kind of watching with popcorn to see what Ferrari does. But I know that might have contributed to Norris's advantage, but really I think it's just a track he's super comfortable at. And the car was just faster.
I mean, McLaren is just so far ahead, and they're basically already won the constructors, so it's really just who wins the driver championship between their two drivers.
I think mathematically they can win it in the next 5 races.
Yeah, I think they probably will.
I mean, I think if for them to win it in the next 5 races, like usually mathematically means you win every race and your closest competitor doesn't finish. So I think it's more likely. I think I saw it's mathematically possible in the next 5, but more likely it'll be around Singapore, which I think is 8 away or something like that.
So they still have a little bit to go, but I mean, you were talking about earlier in the season that after week 9, when the new regulations come, that would be their downfall. Like, okay, maybe it'll be more competitive.
That's what people thought. That's what everyone was saying.
It seems besides the last race when they crashed,
yeah,
that it's only made them stronger, and they're just going to continue this dominance, and it's just going to be Piastri, Norris for World Driver Championship, and the more interesting things are going to be who's going to be second.
Yeah, well, we'll see. The interesting thing will be it'll be between them. The constructors could heat up. I saw some people, delusional Ferrari fans, like, hey, Ferrari got really good at the second half of last year. You know, they can make a fight, they can make a push, but the gap between first and second, not even as close as it was last year. So, and I think that's just, I think if you're a Ferrari fan for so long, you start to give in to the voices, and I think that's kind of what was happening there.
Yeah, I watched this race with a Ferrari fan, and I mean, Ferrari kind of had a boring race. I'm sure you'll get to it.
That's honestly, it was probably the best race to watch for a Ferrari fan so far.
It was, yeah. Because she was like, "Oh, they're doing good. Come on, Lewis." She really wanted Lewis to pass Charles, but
that wasn't happening.
It did not happen. I was like, "Oh, just you wait. They're gonna Ferrari it." But they didn't. I don't know if there were many chances for them to. They literally just had to do nothing. And that's what they did.
And they still had some moments, but we'll cover that in the Ferrari section, which is coming up here soon. Nate, anything you'd like to say about your team's performance?
And
uh-oh.
Just very very happy. I think the best thing for me was getting to hear some of the engineers comps on both ends of the McLaren garage, working out how to try to, beat the other side of the garage. I love that a lot because it's like Lando and Oscar are racing. Obviously I know there are certain points and margins that they want both cars to finish, for good reason. But see that, super happy to see Lando win. Of course, as everyone knows, I am towards doing well as well. I did think the whole, again, I'm sure
you're going a little robot-y here, cutting in and out, just so you're aware.
I can paraphrase.
I can piece in the gaps. So
yeah, you want to kiss Lando. You think he's so hot.
Yep.
He should win every race. Piastri should die, I think is what you're saying.
Yep, that's what I
And
was
you
getting.
want the
Like,
race
no,
so
no, no,
that
no,
so
no,
that
no, no, no.
Piastri can
Piastri
crash
should-
every race, I
Yep,
think is
yep.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly what he was saying.
No,
and,
you
That's what it sounds like. You're the
and
robots. What the
and
robots say.
and you're really happy with the political figures Zach Brown is aligning himself with.
Yeah, I've
Okay,
heard that
respectfully-
the color orange is your
Yeah.
favorite
Yeah,
as a skin
Respectfully,
color.
fuck
It's
Zach
very
Brown.
weird you said skin color.
yeah.
You
It is
did.
weird that you said that, but you did say that.
Respectfully, fuck Zach Brown.
That I can get behind.
Fuck Zach Brown and but yeah, that's pretty much all I've got from McLaren. Like happy with I can't be mad at anything McLaren did this weekend.
All right. Well, I don't know how. If you were mad about anything, I'd say maybe reevaluate your priorities.
No, yeah. Yeah,
because
literally
this
cannot
was
be upset.
nearly a perfect weekend.
Yeah.
And we'll see how they handle next weekend. But before that, we got plenty of race. I'm sorry, this is on lap 3. This is meant to say on turn 3. Antonelli sends it on the inside of a bunch of cars, locks up, goes right into Verstappen, takes them both out of the race. Verstappen only qualified in 7th after getting caught out in Q3 in a Gasly spin. The car was also very hard to drive for him and Tsunoda and for Hadjar and for Lawson. All of the Red Bull cars were really rough to drive. They were all mainly the main Red Bull, more so than the V car. But Verstappen and Tsunoda were lamenting all weekend about the lack of grip. Red Bull's streak of strong home performances, comes to an end. But there's no bad blood between Verstappen and Antonelli. He was like, look, it's a mistake. It happens. I've done the same thing when I was younger. It's interesting. He took it so well, and you got the vibe that maybe if it was certain other drivers who currently and have previously driven for Mercedes, he might have acted a little differently. But he had no bad blood with Antonelli. And then, of course, there's all the rumors now that Max might go to Mercedes next year. Those are all just rumors. I specifically don't mention it anywhere in this document because it's all unsubstantiated. It's just Max is talking to Toto. They've been talking for years now. Every time Toto's like, come over, Max is like, no. And that's basically where the story is at the moment. There was this weird news story that's like, oh, it's a sure thing, but it's not. They're sourcing no one. So yes, Max was like, he was like understanding and he wasn't too upset about it. And then Tsunoda struggled all weekend, got a 10-second penalty for forcing Colapinto off, which capped off his and Red Bull's awful weekend with a dead last finish. It was horrible. It was a terrible race for me. I hated it.
Yeah, I mean the highlight of Red Bull was just seeing Max not be the villain.
Yeah.
Which was nice to see. It makes sense that when you see an 18-year-old kid, he crashed into just randomly, like it was not targeted. They weren't racing each other.
Kimmy locked up.
He just got locked up. You just happened to be there. And what are you gonna do? There's an 18-year-old little kid who just graduated high school crying at you.
Can you imagine being Kimmy and like getting out of the car and having to go up to Max Verstappen to apologize? He'd be so scared.
Yeah, so it was nice to see Max be kind of nice about it, especially since he already had a bad qualifying. And that was just more bad luck. So him taking in stride after so many weeks of being kind of, I'm not going to say the villain, but, kind of having chaotic energy to him, kind of a rebel energy. To have that good energy in such a bad situation was nice to see. But man, Yuki really struggled so hard.
The car they had no grip. Max was complaining about it too, so it's not just a Yuki thing. And I saw a really good take about this. There's a lot of people being like, why the hell did you even get rid of Checo? Like, what's the point? You're just losing money because they're finishing in the same spot. And I saw someone say Red Bull needed to get rid of Checo to understand that it wasn't a problem with Checo, it's a problem with the car. And I totally agree with that. If they didn't get rid of Checo, then they just still think it's just a Checo thing, but in reality, it's the car sucks, and Max Verstappen is just that good. And we see what happens when Max Verstappen has a race-winning car that is fast. He wins nearly every race. So,
Yeah.
it sucked to watch, especially as like the world's. I don't know if I'm probably not the world's biggest Yuki fan, but I'm up there for sure. It was really hard to watch. Red Bull had just a terrible, terrible time. I was like, basically after Max crashed and like Yuki was stuck in last, I kind of checked out of the race a little bit. I was like, I don't care, man.
Yeah,
So-
after
Honestly,
watching
like-
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, my bad, Dave. My bad.
If you're watching like the interval between Yuki and second to last place, at points it was nasty. It was like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
between
well,
Yuki
part of
and
that was the penalty.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I
Nope.
mean, it's just not a not a great look.
No.
And he's just been more and more sad. I watch all the after race interviews, and he just gets sadder and sadder every week. It's hard to watch. Him and the
yeah,
Williams
dude, like-
drivers.
Yeah, I just, and I want to make sure, like, I'm clarifying, like, I am not discrediting Yuki as a driver. I just think Yuki and that Red Bull together is just a not good combination. Like, I can't bear to watch it. Yuki should not be in a position where he's fighting for 15th. Because that
It's
is
getting
not like
worse.
yeah, like because the thing is we've seen that he's capable more. Every in that like second Red Bull seat capable of so much more. Like yeah, I want to see him like in a different seat. Like I would love to see him get put into like Stroll's seat, like at Ashton, especially.
I like to see anyone
this
in
is
Stroll's
like-
seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just like what, like come on, like Yuki doesn't deserve this. No one deserves that. On like, I don't think anyone on the grid deserves that, except for
And-
maybe Stroll.
Stroll doesn't deserve it. He hasn't done anything wrong. He just has a rich dad. It's his only crime. Like, is it frustrating to watch Stroll finish poorly when, maybe, and be in the sport for so long? A little bit, yeah, but he doesn't deserve that. I mean, he's not a bad guy. He's just a little socially awkward.
He's just a little socially awkward billionaire. Oh man.
I'm not saying you got to feel bad for the guy. I'm just saying he doesn't deserve like psychological torture.
No, but like, dude, like, I come on, I don't want to see that happening to Yuki. Like,
Neither do I.
Yeah, and he when he first got there, he was doing okay. He was scoring. He got like 10th and 9th here and there.
mm,
And he's like, "Oh, I'm talking to engineers. Like we're figuring it out. Like Yuki's like doing our communication." I don't think they can hear him right. Maybe there's like some miscommunication because it's only gotten worse by a lot.
So I think it's because the problem with the car can't be fixed.
Well, whatever they're doing is making it worse. So maybe I don't know. Scrap it.
Yeah, I just think it can't be fixed. And they're probably, I'd imagine Red Bull is probably very handily shifted to next year. Especially after this
Yeah. Yeah, after Max got out this race, it's probably wraps.
So, yeah, it's Red Bull's going through it. We'll see how they cope. There's some hope for Max this coming weekend, and I'll explain why specifically. But we got way more to cover because as bad as a weekend Red Bull had, it wasn't as bad as Williams. On the
God.
formation lap, Sainz's car doesn't even start, and eventually, after Lando is basically lined back up at the start-finish line, he finally gets going, but the brakes were engaged his entire lap. And when he pulls, so if your car doesn't start on the formation lap, you have to pull into the pits and you have to start from the pits. So he goes to do that, and he's sitting in the pit lane, and the brakes, having been engaged for a whole lap, catch fire. And he's just sitting there, and he's in the car, and the car is on fire, and he's just like, so he didn't even start the race, but technically he did the formation lap, which like counts as a lap because they had to redo the start and whatever. So he didn't get a DNS, he got a DNF. whatever, technicalities, but really he didn't do a single racing lap. Later on, Albon retired with a mechanical issue. I didn't actually catch what the issue specifically was, but it was a mechanical issue. It wasn't like he crashed or anything. It was an issue with the car. They didn't say what it was on the broadcast, and if they did, I totally missed it because it was during the Oscar Lando fight, so it was like obviously that was more important.
That was happening. You just see that Albon's just in the pits.
Yeah, they hard cut to Albon retiring the car, and they go back to the Oscar Lando fight.
Well, yeah, they do that, but also on the timer thing, you're just like, "Hi, Albon's in the pits." Watch the Oscar Lando fight. Hi, Albon is still in the pits.
Yeah, and then they cut to him. Yeah, poor guy. Williams continues their, just implosion since Imola. Really, it's just been rough for Williams.
It's hard to think that they used to be a promising team. They were a promising team for like 3 or 4 races. Like, oh, we expect 5th.
Yeah.
Now they expect to not even finish the race.
Yeah, and I talk about this in the Great Britain preview. I do think that 5th is under threat.
Yeah, someone had said in the broadcast. I can't remember who was commentating. Quote the Ferrari beaters. Not right now. With the exception of Sainz's, but very unfortunate.
It's been rough for them. Poor Williams.
They've been kind of lucky that a lot of the mid to back field has also been having a lot of problems besides Sauber and Aston Martin, who started the season so bad. So they can kind of, Haas and Racing Bulls. Racing Bulls, we'll get to them. They had a pretty okay race. They had a pretty good race for one specific driver.
Right. Yeah. And Sam is back.
He has his food.
Yes, I do. Do I have to add my voice or anything?
No, you're fine. I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Excellent.
Let me pull up the doc.
Yeah, so it sucks. It sucks for Williams. That midfield battle is going to get spicy at the end of the year if this continues. Below that, so after Williams, I've got Ferrari, who we've kind of mentioned a little bit. They did have a quiet race. Ferrari and Mercedes, mainly Russell, obviously not Antonelli, had a pretty quiet weekend overall. And Ferrari had a quiet race. Ferrari finished 3 and 4, which was good for them. It wasn't all smooth sailing, but it was relatively mellow. Leclerc and Hamilton both kind of had some now classic radio moments, but overall it was a good weekend for Ferrari, which they definitely needed. They weren't catching the McLarens and all, but they did finish over 30 seconds ahead of Russell, who was in 5th. So that's really good for the team. Their 2 radio moments was in lap 2 or whatever, when Charles's engineer was like, "I need you to LICO every corner," which probably means lift and coast. It's not confirmed, but that's probably what it means. And Leclerc was like, "Yeah, I'm already doing that, so I don't know what you want from me." And then
that's what I'm doing, Brian.
That's what I'm doing. And then Hamilton, he was like, "I can stay out. I can do a 1-stop." They're like, "No, box now." And he was like, "I don't wanna." And they're like, "Box." And he's like, "No." And he was like, "Box." And they made him box. But it was probably the right strategy call at the end of the day because he wasn't going to catch Charles anyway. But the communication to explain that was not there.
Their vibes are just so bad. And for a team that in their constructors right now is in 2nd.
Yeah.
They find a way to make things negative. Like Charles qualified 2nd, but he was a half second behind Lando.
Yeah.
And then this race, he qualified 2nd but finished 3rd. All that happened the whole race was he got passed by Piastri and then stayed in 3rd pretty much the whole race. So for him, it's just like, yeah, I guess I got 3rd. Like it was a George Russell 3rd. He literally did nothing. And so he's on the podium, but in the interviews and everything, he's just like, yeah, cool, I guess. And then Hamilton is just bad vibes. He wants to win.
It's been rough. It's been rough for Lewis.
But they're in 2nd in the constructors. They're doing good, but Hamilton wants to beat McLaren. It's just not going to happen.
No, not this year. Maybe next year. We'll see what happens next year. Leave it to Ferrari that they'll get something horribly wrong, or they'll cheat and get punished, which did happen, like semi recently. But anyway, well, that's an off podcast or whatever the fuck show, whatever this is, conversation. Yeah, so that was the Mercedes and the Ferrari. Liam Lawson finishes in 6th behind Russell, scores 8 points for the team, his best finish this year, puts himself ahead of Tsunoda in the driver's standings and 1 point away from Sainz. While Hadjar had a pretty poor qualifying and kind of just maintained position during the race. So it's kind of a mixed bag for VCarb in what was a bad bag for the Red Bull organization. Weird to say that Liam Lawson was the bright moment of Red Bull during this weekend. But I mean, hey, he qualified well. He finished 6th. He deserved it.
Yeah, it's finally a spot of light for him. And
Yes.
if he wants to keep a job next year, he's got to somehow keep on doing this.
Yeah.
He seems to do kind of well in these races where it's kind of hard to pass, or there's like big gap. Like,
well,
this
it's not
race had a
hard to
lot of
pass
big
at
gaps.
Austria. There was
Yeah.
gas.
There's this big gaps. It's like these weird races where it's kind of boring. He had that one race, I think it was Imola, right, where he led that train so that Hadjar could get scored good points. Or Monaco, yeah, sorry, Monaco. He did good there. He did good here, where kind of nothing was happening. But I think it's that Racing Bull strategy. They seem to have pretty good strategy, and he's able to capitalize on it and score
better than it
some
was
good
at the beginning of the
points.
year.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so we'll see.
A lot of other teams seem to make mistakes, and Racing Bulls can capitalize on it sometimes, and Lawson's pretty good at executing those strategies.
Also helped when arguably their closest rivals in the midfield both retired from the race.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
It's really nice when VCarb when Williams is exploding.
It's really nice when there's only 16 cars on the grid, and one of the drivers already has a penalty and is so far back you'll never see him.
Exactly. So VCarb had a solid weekend. Alonso finished 7th. He scored again. Stroll, really good in practice. Didn't translate to qualifying or the race at all. Finished in 14th compared to, that says Alonso's 6th. That's meant to say 7th. But there's some glimpses of speed from Stroll again. You can't count out the GOAT, but, it's Aston. They haven't been great. They haven't been awful this kind of portion of the year. They had a rough start, but they might be on the up, or maybe it's just Alonso's on the up. It's impossible to tell until we see it happen.
They're holding on to a slight lead. Actually, I don't even know how big the lead is between them and
It's not very
right
big.
now.
It's not very big. We'll get into it.
And they're making sure they're not in the backfield because there's only one team in the backfield, but we'll get to them too.
Yes, we'll get to them last.
That's where they are, yeah.
We'll get to them last. But honestly, I think the biggest midfield story aside from Williams is both Saubers finishing the points. Bortoleto scored his first points in Formula One. He finished in 8th. Hulkenberg at 9th. Bortoleto objectively faster than Hulk all weekend. Putting the team 15 points clear of Alpine, so and only 2 away from Aston. There's your point differential, and 3 away from Haas. So that's a very close battle between those 3 teams right now. Bortoleto had a great weekend. He drove really quick, didn't make a single mistake. One hell of an effort from him. Highlight of his rookie season. Absolutely deserved driver of the day. So congratulations to Gabriel Bortoleto. The Red Bull Ring is your new home race because there isn't one in. Oh no, there is one in Brazil. I don't know why I said there wasn't. So he's got 2 home races now. Good for him. Haas. No, go.
Let me. Yeah. So I mean, Bortoleto kind of overshadows the fact that Hulkenberg qualified 20th and got 9th.
That's true.
It's kind of crazy. He's kind of the GOAT right now. Like, of the midfield drivers, he's kind of the best right now. Also, there was a radio communication from Bortoleto where he was behind Hulkenberg. He just got the pits. He's like, "Oh, when are you gonna let me pass this guy?" I'm like, "Bro, you have not scored any points. I know you really want to score points, but he showed a little bit of sass. And for a driver who hasn't gotten that much time in the limelight, that being my first real introduction to him was kind of funny.
He's really funny, so he's good. I think I don't think it's his last points finish of the year. Certainly. Yeah, I mean, he got 8th and he qualified in the top 10. So it's not like he got 8th because 4 cars didn't finish. He probably would have gotten 9th or 10th if Antonelli and Verstappen didn't crash into each other. Well, I guess if Antonelli didn't crash into Verstappen. So definitely deserved. Congratulations to him. And Haas, Andrew isn't here, but Ocon finished 10th, Behrman in 11th. They weren't great in quali. Ocon did drive from 17th to 10th, so the car did have some good race pace, which is going to be important for the team in the battle of the midfield. And a few more good performances than them, Aston or maybe even Sauber, combined with what, like I mentioned, the current state of Williams, it could make it pretty close for this midfield battle. But one team that likely won't be in that mix is Alpine. With Bortoletto scoring, Colapinto and Doohan, but he doesn't count at the moment, is the only driver who has yet to score. And he had a horrible weekend. He pushed Piastri in the grass while fighting not to be in last. You mentioned that earlier. Gasly made it to Q3 but spun, which ruined his and Verstappen's chances. Like I mentioned, qualified 10th, Gasly did, and finished 13th. Not a great race for the team. That is watching not last in the constructors kind of slip out of their grasp as Sauber makes a surge.
Yeah, it was a really bad weekend. There were some flashes of chances at points. Gasly into Q3. At points in their race, they were competing for points, but by the end, they were pretty solidly not going to get anything. Colapinto made a lot of other drivers mad at him, kind of just being a little bit incompetent and a rookie, which sucks.
Yeah.
Gasly in interviews is starting to feel more frustrated, which makes sense. He's a better driver than this, and the car must just be terrible and awful. And now that
it is.
now that some of the other veterans on these midfield teams like Alonso and Ocon and Hulkenberg are having kind of these, nice point finishes in the mid to low points, Gasly hasn't really had that. And so he can't feel good. And the rookies aren't feeling good either. Just bad. I thought Briatore would bring some sauce, some energy, something, some cheating. Maybe
maybe that.
We just happened to be McLaren somehow. We swatched, I don't know, some wacky racist shit.
Yeah,
no,
that's what you do need is the cheating.
We need cheating. I am advocating for it.
Honestly, I think if you message Briatore and be like, I think you should cheat, he'd be like, brother, I am.
I am. It's not working. We try to crash gate. We get Colapinto out there to run into people, but they're avoiding him. He
crash gate so Gasly can finish in 10th as opposed to crash gate so Alonso can win a race is crazy.
I just don't want to be in last. I don't want to be behind Kick Sauber, please. This is painful.
There's 12 races left.
Oh God! I think we're mathematically going to get last in 8 races.
I think you're
8 races. McLaren's going to be first, and Alpine's going to be last.
Yep, and that'll be the only thing that's for certain. Yeah, horrible. Another horrible race for Alpine, overshadowed by Williams having a worse one. So, yes, that is the Austria preview. Today's or this week's certified Ferrari moment goes to Ferrari, and it's their lack of communication. Mainly Hamilton wanting to try one stopper. His tires felt good. Ferrari pitted him anyway, much to his dismay. Sure, it was the right choice, but the communication about it was terrible. And then honorable mention is I'm already doing that, Brian, from Leclerc. But the real news of the weekend, is pick the podium. It happened. Dave gets a correct podium prediction with Piastri in second. Congratulations, Dave. Next up, perfect weekend for you. I'm expecting it.
Let's go. It's going to happen. Thank you for all the skincare products that help out with Oscar Piastri's skin and the fact that he's kind of young. Thank you. Thank you for whoever took his picture that I looked at and said, you know what, that guy looks hydrated. I owe it all to water. Thank you, water.
And Australian jeans.
Yes.
So yes, that is the Austria preview. Very exciting race at the beginning. Then it really mellowed out halfway through. But that's all I gotta say on it. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add before we get into the Great Britain preview?
this was, I think, the first race of the year that I've actually witnessed the start of, and so watching my favorite racer or driver be out so early was just incredibly demoralizing. I looked up, saw the start. I'm like, okay, they're resetting. Started eating breakfast. Looked back up. I'm like, huh, there are not a lot of cars being marked right now. And I looked it up, and then I got sad. I stopped watching.
Well, don't worry. Saturday, I'm making you watch qualifying.
Oh,
Don't
absolutely.
worry. I'm sure that Mercedes will make sure that their car, I mean, this was Camby's fault, but I'm sure Mercedes will make sure that their car does not fail on him again. Not for the third or fourth time this season. I'm sure he'll complete all of the races that are coming up.
I wouldn't guarantee anything. Yes, that's Austria. And ahead of us is Great Britain. It's Silverstone. It's the most historic track on the calendar, I believe. But the British Grand Prix during 4th of July weekend just doesn't sit right with me. Downright disrespectful, if you ask me. No American drivers either. I mean, what the fuck are we doing? We need Cadillac to hire an amazing American driver, and they need to win in Silverstone on the 4th of July, and the world will be okay. I promise. That's what's going to fix everything that's wrong with the world, is an American winning in Silverstone on 4th of July. But that's not going to happen this weekend. Silverstone, like I mentioned, is one of the most historic on the calendar. I believe it's the only one to have not had its layout changed at any point. And as far as historical tracks go, a million times better than Monaco. There's a lot of prestige here. It's the home race for so many teams, so many drivers. The main straight is called the Hamilton Straight, and yes, it is named after Lewis Hamilton. He has finished on the podium here for the past 11 years and 12 races in a row. They did 2 races in 2020. That's where that number gap is coming from. And it's up to Ferrari to either continue that streak or ruin it. And, you know, a lot of people, especially Hamilton fans, kind of dreading this race because Ferrari's excellent chances of ruining the streak by doing something stupid. That being said, Hamilton has had amazing performances and wins here. He literally won on 3 wheels in 2020. That's not even a joke. Ferrari could be on the up after last week, so Leclerc and Hamilton both have podium hopes, and Hamilton especially. I mean, there's something about Silverstone. He turns it on. And like I mentioned, it's his home race, but it's also the home race for McLaren, Mercedes, Williams, Aston Martin, Norris, Russell, Albon, and Behrman. So home race for a lot of people, very special race. A lot of teams run special liveries. We kind of talked about in our group chat the McLaren livery they're running. They're doing some chrome. I think they should have gone all chrome, but that's neither here nor there. And qualifying is Saturday, July 5th, 10 a.m. Eastern, and the race is Sunday, also 10 a.m. Eastern. And here's the big news. Here's why I think Verstappen could have a great race here. It's going to rain all weekend. The document says might. I've been looking it up. I've been looking it up day after day. It's going to rain all weekend. Saturday and Sunday rain. Yes. Stroll is he's great in the rain. There could be some Stroll points. We could see a Verstappen, another Verstappen in the rain masterclass. The rain makes it even more exciting.
Has it rained that much since Australia when Piastri had his problems?
No, I don't think we've had any. I don't think we've had any rain since then. We had rain Austria in practice 1. And then there was rain in.
Was there rain Miami?
Yes, and the sprint, not for the race.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Leclerc crashed in the formation lap for their sprint. Yes, so that's it. Those are the only 2 wet weather races, or wet weather moments, I guess. So it is the forecast as of today and yesterday and Monday said it's going to rain. I'll check again tomorrow, and I'll check again Friday, and I'll text the group chat the weather updates because rain makes it more exciting. I don't think anyone can argue that. And Hamilton's also very good in the rain. Not only is he great at Silverstone, he's very good in the rain. Him, Verstappen, and Alonso, I think, are the 3 best in the rain. So it's Verstappen and the old heads, which is, Jeremy Clarkson very aptly put last year, if it rains, one of the older guys is going to win between Hamilton and Alonso, and Hamilton won. So, he knows what he's talking about, I guess. yeah, you can't count out Verstappen from that podium conversation, even if it is going to be an uphill battle, especially if it's going to rain. Now, if it's in the dry, maybe you can. And in the other Red Bull, Tsunoda is facing an even tougher uphill battle, and it's just for points, not even for a podium for the guy. Red Bull's struggling. Car is terrible. The Verstappen to Mercedes rumors are crazy right now because Sky Italy put out an article today that was like, it's confirmed, waiting on the Mercedes board to approve it. And everyone's like, what's your source? And they're like, we don't have one. So Eric Van Haren, who is a Dutch reporter who's very close to the Verstappen family, is like, that's not true at all. And most people are kind of taking his word because he's been 100% correct on everything involving Verstappen since he entered the sport. So, regardless, Red Bull is in a bad spot, and it's not looking like they're going to recover anytime soon. My source is that I made it the fuck up. Yes, exactly. That's literally what Sky Italy basically did. But McLaren obviously is the team to beat. Red Bull can have as much of an uphill battle as they want because it's going to go to McLaren. I think a 1-2 is extremely likely, and I think it's expected, especially after last weekend. But who's going to be first? That's the question. Is it going to be Norris or Verstappen? Verstappen? Norris or Piastri? I'm sorry. Every time Norris has won a race, Piastri has answered and won the following race. Norris also won Piastri's home race this year, so maybe there's a revenge drive coming from Piastri. But regardless, I think the battle should be good, and I hope that it's closer than the battle in Austria.
At least the rain will make it more interesting.
Yeah.
And I'll probably be paying attention to the ones right behind McLaren, like Ferrari, Mercedes, and even Red Bull at times. That have seemed like they're the clear number 2 team, and now that's kind of been jumbled up, where Mercedes kind of taking a little bit backseat. Ferrari's caught up; they're now in second. Like, who's else going to be on the podium besides Piastri and Norris? Who's going to take that leap and keep on fighting for that second in the constructors?
Yeah, it's going to be I think there's a lot of good battles to watch for. But obviously the story of the win, I think likely is between the two Mercedes driver. And hopefully it's a closer battle than Austria. I mean, I know the battle in Austria was very close at the start, but it mellowed out. I would like to see it for a whole race. Obviously, we'll see what happens. And if it rains, I do think Norris has a little more experience in the rain. So it could give him the edge, but we'll see. We'll see. I also think if Max Verstappen is in the mix, that's going to give them both way more pressure instead of just fighting each other. Because, if Max Verstappen is behind you in the rain, you're like, well, I do want to fight for first, but also if I make one tiny mistake, I know who's coming. So, we'll see how the Red Bull copes. We'll see how I think it's pretty much expected from everyone that McLaren is going to be 1-2 this year in Silverstone. So congratulations, Nate, in advance.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Mercedes, I think, also have a solid chance at the podium. They've done very well here in the past. Obviously, helped by Hamilton, who's never not finished on the podium in the past 11 years. Again, I just feel like that's important to mention. Hamilton is so good here. But Mercedes, he was there because of the Mercedes car. And Mercedes know how to win here. And Russell's going to be gunning for it. It's his home race as well. I think Antonelli's going to be able to put Austria behind him. And I think he could also be in the podium mix. Especially if he recovers after Austria, which I think he will with minimal issue. So yes, that's Mercedes. Ferrari, it's going to be down to, look, you can't count out Hamilton, but it's going to come down to, will Ferrari it? And it's a coin flip. It's a 50% chance it either happens or it doesn't.
Well, they didn't really Ferrari it this week, so
it's true. It's
got to come around.
Well, yeah, maybe. I think Leclerc is faster than Hamilton right now, but I would not be surprised to see Hamilton be the faster of the Ferraris this weekend. There is something about Silverstone, lights a fire under Hamilton. And Roscoe's there. His dog is there this weekend. He doesn't take his dog to any of the other races because Roscoe's old as hell and has pneumonia. but like chronic pneumonia. But Roscoe is there this weekend, so just a little more motivation for my favorite movie star, Roscoe Hamilton, who had more screen time in the F1 movie than most of the drivers did. So congratulations to Roscoe for that as well. But yeah, Ferrari, it kind of, I feel like there's an air of dread over Ferrari for Silverstone because of how monumental the race is.
I think there's an air of dread because they can't be happy with anything.
Also true.
They're just so sad. Hamilton's not going to be happy until he beats Leclerc and gets podium over him or something like that. He had the sprint win, but that's about it. And he seems to be really mad that he's the second driver by a good margin.
Uh-huh.
So this will be his chance to maybe get some of his pride back. We'll see.
We'll see. It's his home race. Home races, they do give you, I think they give you a little bit extra motivation, a little more speed. Speaking of home races, Williams is coming into their home race with no momentum and no hope. They've been in disaster mode since Imola, and Austria was such a collapse. It's kind of hard to see how they're going to recover. Their reliability issues are so bad. And we didn't know that early in the season because it's early in the season and all the parts are still new. So it's hard to see when they fall apart. And now that they're falling apart, they haven't been able to replace what's wrong. And not only have they had reliability issues, they've also just haven't been very fast. So it's a lot of pressure on the team to deliver in their home race. It's Albon's home race as well. I know I saw some I hesitate to say discourse on whether or not it's Albon's home race. He races under the Thai flag, but he is a British citizen. He's a dual citizen, and he claims both. So it's his home race, whether you like it or not. Racist British people on Twitter, and so there's a lot of pressure for the team for this home race of theirs. And like I mentioned earlier, I think this fifth place fight is going to get close. And here's my hot take for the fifth place. I think if any team is going to make it, I think it's going to be Haas. And I know that's crazy to say right now. They're 26 behind Williams. It's a long haul, and they're 7 behind VCarb. But VCarb's been slow lately. And Haas, I truly believe, is capable of more than what they're doing. I can see them getting to the mix. I can see them fighting Williams. I really can. I don't know why. It came to me in a dream, I guess. But I can see it happening. Is VCarb with their current performance kind of more, even though they've been slow, is VCarb maybe more likely to fight Williams for 5th place? Probably, but I'm not counting out Haas just yet. Ocon and Behrman have put in some really solid races. The car's been super up and down, but I think a late race, like a late season surge, I think it's coming. And I can really, once I started writing that Haas could do it, I was like, you know what? I totally can see this. And I can't articulate why. It's a feeling. I believe it. But Haas is going to have to They'll have to contend with a resurgent Lawson and a VCarb that's objectively faster, even if VCarb hasn't been as quick lately, especially with Hadjar. He's been on a rough streak, but he can and likely will bounce back. I still do think he's the strongest of the rookies right now. I know Antonelli's obviously got a podium and everything, but the car difference and everything, I still think Hadjar is probably the strongest. But Williams' 5th place isn't looking so strong as it was earlier in the year. Like you mentioned, Dave, we were like, they're a lock for 5th place this year, and now it's like, I don't think so anymore.
I think this is a hotter take, but in my head it's not, just because of recency bias. I think Kick Sauber is a little bit better chance than Haas. They're only 3 points behind Haas right now because Haas has been absolute ass these past bunch of races. Like Ocon's gathered a couple points here and there, but they've been terrible. And now Bortoletto's finally got some points. Hulkenberg has been an absolute beast of a man for the past bunch of races. Keeps on scoring points. Keeps on scoring good points. Good, hard blue collar points. And their blue collar gambling sponsor is going to shoot them up to 5th because everyone else is struggling. That's hard, and they're doing something.
Calling them the blue collar team is so funny when Haas, the company, makes heavy machine parts.
Yeah, but look at Oliver Behrman.
That's true.
Tell me
That's
he's blue
true.
collar.
It's true.
I
He's
mean,
not.
his neck is blue collar. His neck's got enough room for all the collars.
Yeah, hey, Sauber, I think yes, like you said, they're 3 behind Haas. And they're 2 behind Aston. But with Aston, only Alonso's really been putting in the performances. And Sauber, it's crazy. They have been really good lately, and it's like it used to be a miracle when they score, and now it's like I don't know. So I think it's I think it's gonna be close, but I believe that Haas has a higher chance for a surge. I don't know why, but I just believe it. But yeah, between Haas, VCarb, Aston, and Williams, I think it's gonna be close towards the end of the year. Abu Dhabi might be very exciting. So we've talked about 9 out of 10 teams. You'll notice we've left one team out of the midfield conversation, and that would be Alpine. Colapinto is officially on a race-by-race basis for his contract. And I'd have to imagine after Austria, it's on thin ice. Even if he didn't bring in huge sponsor money, he'd be if he didn't bring in huge sponsor money, he'd probably be kicked to the curb. It's not a great look that both drivers they've swapped. Doohan and Colapinto have combined 0 points. And there's been a lot of talk of Bottas coming into Alpine. But that won't be a midseason swap. Bottas is in Mercedes. He's in contract for Mercedes for the end of the year. So I think they sensationalized the story. They were talking to him, but he's looking for a seat for next year. And obviously they're going to keep Gasly. They've committed to him. So it's just who that second driver will be. Because at this rate, it's not. I don't think it's wrong to say it's not going to be Colapinto next year. At this rate, like at this current point.
Yeah, and I think I saw somewhere that say that they don't want to bring Doohan back, but like if Colapinto's gonna piss off the whole grid, including his teammate, just by being incompetent, you just gotta put someone out there that can have a quiet P20. Get Yuki back there. I guess Yuki has some his own issues. He keeps on getting penalized. Maybe not Yuki. Get someone back there, professional, who can just be there, do absolutely nothing, not piss anyone off, and not get in crashes. And that is not what Colapinto is.
Yeah, not right now at least. And their other driver Gasly's been all over the place with quality and race performances. We all know he's capable of more. It's just whether or not he and the car can deliver. So that's Great Britain. I do have a final thing under here about the F1 movie. It was good. I liked it. I think people need to relax about the inaccuracies. It's a movie, not a documentary. Just suspend your disbelief. It's okay. I promise. If you haven't seen it, Nate, I know you saw it. I think if you haven't seen it and you got the opportunity, I think you should. It's really good. It's really entertaining. It's a fun watch. And I personally really, really liked it. So that's very quick on the F1 movie, just because it just came out. I did see it opening night. But yeah, that's the Great Britain preview. Any questions? Anything anyone like to say before we move on to the podium predictions? Gonna take that? Yep. All right. Take that as a no. All right, we're here. We're picking the podium. I'm still leading. I'm leading Nate by 6 points. It's getting much, much closer. So I will lead off, of course. Sam, we changed the order and how we do these. You haven't been here. But basically, I used to just go down the line. But now it's whoever has the most points. It's most to least points. So that way, like, I don't think anyone would do this, but like, if Nate went before me and he's like catching up to me, I could just predict the same thing he does. So no matter what, he won't pass me in the points. So that's to prevent that. So I think it's going to be, and I've been thinking about this a lot this week, I think it's going to be Piastri, Norris, Hamilton. That's my prediction for the podium. I think Hamilton gets there. I don't think he gets the win. I think McLaren are going to be too fast. And I think Piastri's going to bounce back. He's going to answer like he always does. He's going to win on Norris's home turf. And I think Hamilton's going to outdrive the Ferrari bullshit to pull in a podium. So that is my prediction. Nate?
I've been having a really tough time. With this, especially as the podium gap has been narrowing too. But I think I'm gonna stick to my guns here. I think I'm gonna continue to put Norris in 1.
I already wrote it in.
No, all right, well, fuck you, man. Do you think I know equalizer, however, I do think the McLaren car is still top on the grid,
I agree.
regardless of the conditions.
I agree with
obviously rain,
you 100% on that.
Yeah, like I can't deny that. I do understand that the rain can close the gap, but I think between, the car performance, Lando's experience. I mean, he took what, third here last year. So I think this time he can flip the script and take the top podium step. However, for me, this is where things start to get a little dicey. Um, I think I put Max second here.
Okay.
Happen second here, especially if it rains. Hello?
I just said okay.
Oh, I thought you were about to say something else.
No.
It sounded like. Oh, okay. I think I put Verstappen second here. Again, like rain is the great equalizer. And honestly, I think as long as he qualifies, because I think he's probably the best. As much as it may pain me to say that, I know the Red Bull we got of great things from it recently, but very much still, a competitive car with Max behind the wheel. So I think, especially if that rain kicks in, I think I put Max here. Third, dude, third is fucking killing me. Third is actually killing me.
Can I guess? Can I guess who you're torn between?
Oh, you can guess who I'm torn between. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think you're torn between both Ferrari drivers.
I am not torn between both Ferrari drivers.
He's torn between Russell and Leclerc because that's who he's picked for the past 10 weeks.
I think he's torn between. I think he really no Hamilton.
Got him.
I don't want to say Hamilton's not in the mix, but he's not as much, because I think my problem with Hamilton is just, I think due to if we were just driving in the rain, yes, I take Hamilton over Leclerc. The problem is we're talking about driving in the rain in the Ferrari and with the current race engineer setup. I don't think he outdrives the bullshit. I think it is just enough, and that he finally decides to fight it too little, too late. I think we see Hamilton disobey some team orders this weekend. In the sense of strategy department, I think we see great in that. I think we see him finally trust his own instinct. Well, not so much that, but it's if he's no, if it does come to rain and he's already on inters, or no, he wants to swap quicker for inters, or he doesn't want to swap out of inters, which I think it'll be more the latter than the former. I think we see him kind of go against the grain on it. But that nonsense is going to hold him back just enough to where he's not necessarily fighting for that third podium step. I do still think that he takes a top 5 finish. But I don't think he outdrives the bullshit, which I hate to say, especially again, he won last year here. But I'm really George and Leclerc on the grounds of the performing well in the cooler temps, and George being decently consistent, and having solid performances here.
So who are you going with?
Why'd you have to say it like that? Why'd you have to?
Who are you picking?
I think don't worry.
I'm not trying to rush you. We're just at an hour.
He actually picked the entire Declaration of Independence.
What the fuck did you do to my beautiful document? Delete. Undo this immediately.
I think I'm gonna go with Leclerc. I think.
Oh my god.
I think they figure it out.
All right.
Great.
All
I
right.
The Declaration of Independence, and this is how you treat me.
I spent, dude, you don't understand. I spent 30 seconds each week setting this up, okay?
I spent 30 seconds looking at the Declaration of Independence, going to the National Archives website, and then copy pasting it.
I respect you for going to the National Archives and not anywhere else. All right, Sam, you're up.
All right, nice and easy. I promise this will be much, much faster than Nate's. We're gonna go with
Fuck you too.
we're gonna go with Piastri first.
Okay.
I think the Revenge Tour, and then I'm actually gonna put Hamilton in at second.
Okay, I like that.
And last but not least, I have to stick to my guns.
Yeah.
Kind of how Nate said, and hopefully you're already gonna put it down. Absolutely.
Yeah, I pre-wrote it.
His time will come again.
All right, I like that. All right, Andrew has Piastri as well. He then has Norris and then Verstappen. And then Dave, no Brits on podium. Calvin, what you got?
I could go two ways here, but I think I'm going to go this way.
Okay.
What is more British than secretly being French? So, and third, we're going Hadjar.
Okay. He's not secretly French, but okay. he's French. Gasly, okay.
And in French, we're going to go to the most secretly French person, Leclerc.
Okay, all right. Yeah, there you go.
But the other option was to do the former colonies and do the Canadian and the Aussies, but I wanted to put Gasly up there. I haven't picked him in a while.
Leclerc, Gasly, Hadjar. If somehow you get a perfect weekend, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
Everyone crashes.
That would just be, I don't even know. If you get a perfect weekend, I'll write this down. If Dave gets a perfect weekend, Max will buy him expensive Alpine merch.
Let's go.
You gotta get a perfect weekend, and it's only this weekend.
It's gonna happen.
So that is F101. We'll be back next week for just the review, and then the week after that, no show, and then the week after that, we'll be doing the preview for whatever the hell is next. I don't remember. Hold on, let me look it up. If it would load, Belgium, Spa, my favorite racetrack. So perfect. All right. Thank you guys for being here. And I will talk to you guys here next week.
Have a good one.